Welcome back to Easy Tricks. Today's lesson is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. You'll find this lesson in 10th grade CBSE textbook First Flight. So let's start the lesson. Always learn English lesson through English explanation. It will be more helpful during the examination. This chapter consists of 6 important parts. Number 1 is introduction to author. Number 2 is meaning of the word apartheid. Number 3 is brief history of South Africa before 1994, which is directly connected to this chapter. Number 4 is speech of Nelson Mandela and details of inauguration ceremony. Number 5 is important people of this struggle. Number 6 is philosophy of Nelson Mandela. Let's learn about the author. This lesson is an extract of autobiography of Mr. Nelson Mandela. Now, what is autobiography? Auto means self, bio means life, graphy means to write. So, autobiography is self-written story of one's own life. Nelson Mandela was first black president of South Africa. I use the specific word black, which refers to his body color. Now, why is this black word so important in this chapter? Before 1994, having black colored body was cursed in South Africa because people were treated differently based on their body color. Black people were never given the highest position. But for the first time, a black person became president of entire country. That was remarkable, and this is the reason I use the colored black. For the first time, a black person was leading a political party in South Africa. The party name was African National Congress. It won 252 seats out of 400 seats, which is equal to 62%. It was a remarkable victory for the first time in South Africans' history. Why was Mr. Mandela so victorious in his first election? It's because he cured a disease called as apartheid. Now, what does this new word apartheid mean? The literal meaning of the word apartheid is separateness. The separateness based on the race and color. People were discriminated based on the body color, which governed South Africa for nearly 50 years. The black people were treated bad. They had no political rights. They cannot vote in their own country. They were just like aliens. They have to carry their ID card all the time in their own country. They had separate facilities. Unlike the white people, they were not given the best of the best facilities. They were kept in a places called as homelands, which barely had any facilities, not even proper food, water, electricity, you name it, nothing. They were penalized for protesting for their rights, and the penalty was extremely harsh. The penalty included fines, imprisonments, and even whipping. So how did this all inhuman acts actually started? For this, we need to know history of South Africa before 1994, and you will understand this chapter more better after knowing the history. So back in 1948, National Party of South Africa, which had only white people, they won and they came to power. And after they came to power, immediately they began enforcing the racial segregation, which means they started separating people based on their body color. This lasted till 1990. In 1950, they introduced a new law which said that white people cannot marry any other colored people. That's so strange. Then the citizens were further classified into 4 categories. They were classified into white color people, colored, Indians, and black color people. And white color people were superior of all. Next was colored, and after that were Indians. The last priority were black people. Between 1960 and 1983, the white people started separating the black people. Around 3.5 million black Africans were removed from their very own home and forced to live in places called as homelands. Between 1987 and 1993, people started protesting and a new party called as African National Congress was formed. This was anti-apartheid party. During same year, many leaders of African National Congress were arrested and imprisoned. Nelson Mandela was also imprisoned and his punishment was lifetime imprisonment. But later in 1990, he was released from prison after spending 27 years in prison. In 1991, on 17 June, apartheid rule was completely taken off from South Africa. For the first time in South African history, they held general election, which means all black and white people can vote. The election went for 4 days and millions of people queued in line as the black people were voting for the first time for their rights. They waited for 4 days only for voting. So let's read the lesson. 10th May, dawn bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respect before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. The ceremony took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Building in Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was a site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. Nelson Mandela here is describing the day on which he took oath of presidency. It was 10th May 1994. He describes the day as bright and clear. He says that he was being surrounded by many dignitaries. These are the people who are officers. He has been surrounded by the army force and the leaders of all over the world. They have come here to South Africa to pay their respect. The meaning of the word inauguration is ceremony, which happens before starting something. Now, Nelson Mandela is about to become President of South Africa. So this ceremony is conducted for him. Because of this ceremony, many world leaders visited South Africa. This is one of the largest gatherings ever seen by South Africans. So this ceremony took place in a lovely sandstone amphitheatre. Amphitheatre means it's an open circular theatre. You can see that in the picture. It does not have a roof and a stage in the center or the corner of the building. So this amphitheatre was located in the Union Building of Pretoria. Pretoria is capital of South Africa. For many years, this particular building was only occupied by white people. They were ruling this country, right? So no black people were allowed to come into this room or into this building as such. But today, Nelson Mandela is saying a rainbow gathering, which means all color people were inside that building. And why are they here? To see the installation. Installation means to place someone in a position. Here Nelson Mandela is being placed as a president of the country. For the first time, there was a democratic non-racial government. So when I say non-racial government, it means there was no discrimination based on the color. On that particular day, he was accompanied by his daughter Zenani. So you can see her in the picture here. And this 10th May 1994 was in the month of autumn. On the podium, Mr. de Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president, then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, today, all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to the newborn liberty. out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. The ceremony started with Mr. de Klerk taking oath. He was on the podium. Podium is a small stand in the center of the stage where you can stand and can be seen by audience. So Mr. de Klerk was made second deputy president. Deputy president means in absence of actual president, the deputy president can take the responsibility. Then Mr. Thabo Mbeki was made as first deputy president, and even he gave under the oath. Now it was Nelson Mandela's turn. So Nelson Mandela promises or he commits to people and the constitution that he is going to obey the constitution, and he is going to devote himself to the well-being of people of South Africa. Constitution means it is a set of rules and regulation which is made by the government of the country, and it has to be obeyed by all the citizens of the country. Nelson Mandela in his speech says to all the guests and the people around the world watching him at present that we have gathered here today to celebrate the newborn liberty, which means we have got this freedom in our very own land which was not given to us till now. Till now we have experienced an unusual disaster, a human loss which was for many years. But today a society is newly born, and this society will make all the humanity proud, and all the human will be proud of South Africa. We who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nation of the world on your own soil. We thank all our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate. Nelson Mandela in his speech further says that the black people were banned from all the legal activities. That's why he called them as outlaws. So they were outlaws in their very own land. But today, after winning the election, they have got a special right, the right to invite other nation on their land. So Nelson Mandela is thanking all the distinguished guests. Distinguished means someone who is recognized, who is great, and these are all international guests. They have come here to see the victory of South African people. Now this victory is victory of justice. It is victory of peace and human dignity. Human dignity means honor or respect towards humanity. Nelson Mandela says that they have finally achieved political emancipation. Political emancipation is freedom from slavery. They were considered as slaves before 1994. Now they have achieved that freedom from slavery, and he promises that we will liberate ourselves. Liberate means setting oneself free. Free from slavery, free from imprisonment, free from oppression. All our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. Nelson Mandela is not just talking about liberty or freedom from racism. He is also talking about liberty from bondage. Bondage means being slave of someone. He is talking about liberty from poverty, deprivation. Deprivation means lack of basic necessary things like food, water, shelter, education. He is talking about liberty from suffering, gender and other discrimination as well. Gender discrimination means differentiating between man and woman, where man is considered as superior and woman as inferior. And then he says this particular word never 3 times to make sure that everyone should remember his sentence that this beautiful land, South Africa, will never experience any kind of injustice done to each other from today. So he says, the sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. He says, whatever they have achieved so far will never go in vain, which is not going to get wasted. It is going to get admired, and it is a great achievement what they have got so far. So he says, let freedom reign, which means let freedom rule this country forever. God bless Africa. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest general of South African Defence Force and police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. After Nelson Mandela finished his speech, few minutes later, they all lifted their eyes in awe. Awe means with respect. What was that they were saying? They were seeing a spectacular array, which means something which is beautiful and noticeable. So what was that so beautiful and noticeable? It was African jets, helicopters. They were flying on top of the Union building. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision. Pinpoint precision means something which is extremely fine. Like you see in the picture, the soldiers are going perfectly or walking or parading perfectly. And this was a demonstration of military's loyalty to democracy. So he says that it is not just how perfect they are walking, it is basically how loyal they are towards this new government. This new government was freely elected this time. It was fairly elected, which means people elected fairly without any cheating. So only few minutes later, the general of the South African Defence Force, that is a head of the military and police, their chests were bedecked, which means the chests were decorated with ribbons and medals which they have received from their previous services. They all saluted Mr. Nelson Mandela and they all promised their loyalty to him. And he says, I was not unmindful, which means I am aware of the fact that at present these all people are saluting me after I won the election. It was not like that few years back. Instead of saluting me, they could have arrested me. Finally, a chevron of Impala jet left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue and gold of the new South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of white singing Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika and the black singing Die Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. Although that day neither groups knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, they would soon know the word by heart. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail. As you see in the picture, these are the jets which is flying in V shape. That is chevron of Impala jets. Now this jets left the smoke from behind their tail that was black, red, green, blue and golden color, which was the new South African flag color. After this event, they all started singing national anthem. They sang two national anthems at once. Whites were singing the new national anthem, that is Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika, which means God bless Africa, and the blacks were singing their old national anthem, which started with the word Die Stem. Now, at present, none of them knew the words or lyrics of this national anthem, which they actually hated few years back. But Nelson Mandela says that it's okay, right now they hate it, they don't know the lyrics, but later on they all will know these lyrics by heart, which means they will be able to say it without reading it. The day of the inauguration, with a sense of history, in the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War, and before my own birth, the white-skinned people of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of the one of the harshest, most inhumane societies the world has ever known. Now, in the last decade of 20th century and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one of that recognized the rights and freedom of all people regardless of the color of their skin. The day of inauguration, Nelson Mandela recalls brief history of South Africa. He remembers that the first decade of 20th century, that is around 1902, there was a big war called as Anglo-Boer War, which broke out between British Empire and two states of South Africa. They were all white people. They later on resolved their problems and the war ended. But what they did after the war was more cruel. They made rules and regulation against black-skinned people. This rules and regulation was so harsh, so cruel that no human being had ever seen. This all happened before the birth of Nelson Mandela. Now that Nelson Mandela is 80 years, that is at the end of this 20th century, in 1990s, this apartheid rule is completely been abolished, which means it is completely been removed from the human society. This rule apartheid is been replaced by something which is more good to human being, that is right to freedom of all the people regardless whether they are dark skinned or white skinned. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifice of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifice had wrought. Nelson Mandela is thinking this present day without racial discrimination in South Africa was unimaginable without the sacrifice of thousands of black people. They were all courageous and no one can repay them for what they have done. He is feeling extremely sad for all these African patriots who have gone now without seeing this freedom or free life. This was a very long and noble line which actually ended. But Nelson Mandela thinks they are all alive within me. He is extremely hurt and wants to thank them for all the sacrifice what they have made. But these people all have gone without seeing this sacrifice in what shape it has turned to. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced Oliver Tambo's, the Walter Sisulu's, the Chief Luthulus, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fischer, the Robert Sobukwe's of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depth of oppression to create such height of character. My country is rich in the mineral and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. this apartheid policy was so cruel that people will take years to forget about it. It was so intense, it was for a very long time. So people are going to take long time to forget this particular oppression. But because of this intense cruelty, country has also seen all these people who were having extraordinary courage. They were lot of wisdom in them. They were generous enough, they were kind enough, and people are not going to forget these freedom strugglers. Perhaps it requires such depth of oppression to create such heights of character. This sentence means unless and until there was not such great cruelty what these people have seen, they wouldn't have produced this best freedom fighter. Nelson Mandela says that his country, South Africa, is definitely rich in minerals, gems, diamonds, which is hidden beneath the soil. But he calls his people as real diamonds because that is what the actual wealth of country is. This all people are very much true, they do not lie, and they are pure as diamond with good hearts. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their life for an idea. I have seen men stand up to attack and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Even in the grimmest time in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards, perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Nelson Mandela says that he has learned courage from his fellow members, from his friends who were with him during the time of struggle. He has seen people like men, women taking risk for the idea of being free. He has seen people who is getting tortured and attacked, and they don't break up easily. They show a lot of strength and resilience. Resilience is capacity to overcome or recover immediately after any difficulties. He has seen people who openly defies, which means they refuse to obey, which was beyond his imagination. Nelson Mandela defines that a courageous person is not a person who never feels fear, but he is a person who is victorious on fear. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid or scared, but he is the person who controls his fear. Nelson Mandela further says that no person on the surface of earth is born hating another person based on his skin color, background, or his religion. People actually learn to hate. If they can learn to hate, they can also be taught how to love, because love is a very natural emotion. People don't have to learn. It is naturally present within oneself. During his time in prison, he and his fellow members were physically tortured. They were pushed to their limits. During this time, he could see some of the guards of the prison used to feel bad, and he could see the faint sign of humanity in them, maybe for few seconds, but this itself was enough for Nelson Mandela to believe that humanity still exists. So he says, man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished, which means a man can be bad for few minutes, few hours, or maybe few years, but that badness does not kill the goodness. This flame of goodness will never die. In life, every man has twin obligation to his family, to his parents, to his wife and children, and he has an obligation to his people, his community, his country. In a civil and human society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations, according to his own inclination and abilities. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both those obligations. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight or existence of secrecy and rebellion. I did not, in the beginning, choose to place my people above my family, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligation as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. Obligation means duty. Nelson Mandela says every man will have two duties in his life. One is towards his family, the other one is towards his country. In any country, these two duties or obligation is easy to fulfill according to man's ability. But in country like South Africa, if a person is born as a black person, then it is very difficult for him to fulfill these both obligations. In South Africa, a black person, even if he tries to live like a human being, he was punished for that as well. And the punishment was very harsh. He was taken away from his family and kept in jail. So, people who were struggling for freedom during this time had to inevitably, that is unavoidably, move away from their family and lead the life of secrecy, that is life of secret. They were rebellious against their government. So here Nelson Mandela says a person has to live a twilight existence, that is he has to live in dark and he has to continue to survive. In the beginning, Nelson Mandela did not choose his nation over the family. His family was important to him. But later, when he started his freedom movement, he was also jailed. He was also punished for this. So he was taken away from his family, and that's the reason he was not able to fulfill his duties as a son, as a brother, or as a father, or a husband. I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free, free in every way that I could know, free to run in the field near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast Millie under the stars and ride the broad back of slow-moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by custom of my tribe, I was not troubled by the law of man or God. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself, that transitory freedom of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedom of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. Nelson Mandela says that he never had hunger to be free in his childhood because he always thought he was born free. As any other child who ran around near the fields, he used to do the same. He used to run around the field near his mother's hut. He used to swim in the clear stream or rivers of his village. He used to roast the corn plant or the maize plant under the stars and ride on the back of the bulls. As long as he obeyed his father and his tribe people, he was never troubled or never harmed. The moment he discovered that this freedom, what he experienced during his childhood, is just an illusion. Illusion means false idea or belief. He discovered as a young man that his freedom has already been taken away from him, and that's when he realized that there is need of freedom and he started struggling for it. But he also says that at first, as a student or as a teenager, he just wanted freedom for his own self. Like any other teenager, Nelson Mandela also wanted to go out at night. He wanted to read the books whichever he would like to. But these basic rights were also denied by white people. Later, in Johannesburg, Nelson Mandela yearned. Yearn means having intense feeling of getting something. So he was yearning for basic freedom, for proving his potential. Potential is capacity to develop into something in future, and that potential was related to his earning, related to his marrying whoever he would like to and having a family. The freedom not to be obstructed, which is like not to be held by this white people. He was looking for having a lawful life which was denied by this white people. Then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greatest hunger for the freedom of my people. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self respect that animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drew a law abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life loving man to live like a man. I am no more virtuous or self sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedom I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. Freedom is indivisible. The chain on any one of my people were the chain on all of them. The chain on all of my people were the chain on me. Nelson Mandela realized it was not just him who was not free, but his brothers, sisters, no one were free. It was not just his freedom which was curtailed. Curtailed means restricted. But every person who was born black, everybody's freedom was restricted. And because of this realization, he joined African National Congress. And after joining African National Congress, he began to think about the freedom of everybody, that is his people, all the black people. It was he always desired freedom for his people, for their self-respect and dignity. And because of this, he says that his life became animated, which means his life was full of excitement. And this is the reason he was too scared before. He changed into a very courageous person, and he was a very law-abiding citizen, or he was following all the rules and regulation of the government till now, and he was a lawyer. But now he became criminal just because he wanted freedom from this racial discrimination. This also turned him from a family loving husband to a man without home, because he has to go in exile. He has to hide himself from this government or the white people, otherwise they will put him into jail. So he was forced to leave his family. He was life loving person. He became like a monk. He says that it is not that he is more virtuous than any other man comparatively, but Nelson Mandela cannot just enjoy poor and limited freedom. And he explains that freedom is indivisible, which means you cannot divide the freedom. In case if you have kept any person in chain, it means every person of that race is under chain who has been denied the freedom. The chain on all of my people with the chain on me. So he says that if you're denying the freedom to my people, it means that you are denying freedom to me as well. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. The oppressed and the oppressors alike are robbed of their humanity. The word meaning oppressor means a person who shows cruel activity against someone. Nelson Mandela says it is just like a person who has been oppressed. This man who is oppressor should also be freed. He is a prisoner. He is a prisoner of his hatred. He hates people. He has prejudice. Prejudice means having opinion about someone without a logical reasoning. This person has narrow-mindedness, which means he doesn't take others' idea. He just have his own thought. So he is behind the bars of all this illness. So he should be freed first. Only then he will free the oppressor. He says that I'm not truly free if I'm taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I'm not free when my freedom is taken away from me. So he says that when you are trying to oppress someone, you are prisoner yourself, just like you are trying to imprison someone else. The oppressed and the oppressors, they both are same because they both have lost their humanity. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any question related to this lesson, please comment below in the comment box. Hit subscribe button if you're new to this channel. Like the video. Thank you.